Welcome to the pre-Christmas celebration on the Wednesday edition of Second City Sports. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Along with Miss Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps, whether it's the Apple iTunes Store, Amazon, or Google Play. Make sure that app says Sports Zone Chicago. You know why? Because we said so. That's why. And number two, you can catch any of our live shows, including this one, Second City Sports. You can watch and listen to it during our live broadcast. But if you miss any of our broadcasts, that's okay. You can watch and listen to them at your own leisure. It's a perfect time to do it, especially with these holidays coming up these next couple of weeks. Make sure you also follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, at Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Excuse me. You can catch the audio version of this podcast, Second City Sports, at War on Anchor. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. Make sure you type in those search engine boxes, WARR on Anchor. And you can follow War Media on all social media platforms as well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, at War Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
And we are unapologetically fun, and we have very different opinions. Also, if you want to make a comment on any of our topics during this 2-hour extravaganza, you can do so by going to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Place your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to do something stupid or decide to troll, Lakeena will give you the boot.
Bye-bye.
Let's get this pre-Christmas edition of Second City Sports off with this, Lakeena. What is the definition of attitude? I'm glad you asked. According to Google here, the definition of attitude is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, typically one that has reflected in a person's behavior, a position of the body proper or to imply an action or mental state. Truculent or uncooperative behavior, a resentful or antagonistic manner. Excuse me for busting up that word right there, but Lakeena, I read those definitions to you because what we talked about right before we hit the air today, I'm referring to the actions of rookie left tackle Tevin Jenkins defending his rookie quarterback and teammate Justin Fields during the midway to the third quarter of the 17-9 loss to the Minnesota Vikings on Monday night. I get both sides of the issue. Tevin Jenkins coming to the defense of his quarterback and his teammate. The Bears were filled with penalties all night long, and teammate and line mate Jermaine Ifedi came over to him and told him to calm down. They're doing the stupid. Lakeena, that particular moment to me dignified what was the attitude of this team. The defense had it. The offense, they had it, but it all starts with your head coach. And your head coach, Matt Nagy, picked up a penalty early in the game, arguing the call. So Sid, why are you asking what's the attitude of this team? It's been a detriment and a problem for this team over the last 3 years in terms of dumb penalties. What are dumb penalties caused by? Lack of discipline and lack of attitude. There's something that this Bears team is the cloud of shadow over right now. And how many times we talked about it, Lakeena? And many pundits and experts, including some in this town, refuse to acknowledge that fact that dumb penalties can cost you games. Now, we all know that Matt Nagy is not a great head coach. We can all agree that he's gone at the end of the year. We could talk about the lack of talent. We could talk about management. We could talk about ownership. But the number one thing that has plagued this team over the last 2 or 3 years is attitude. And we saw that all over the field on Monday night. I ask you, Lakeena, could this get any worse in terms of on the field? Could this get any worse? And your team was actually in the ball game on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was just, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we got other stuff to talk about because I don't want
Mhm,
to spend a lot of time on this. But look, I mean, this sort of, look, I mean, his attitude, look, I can see why some people would say, well, look, how can a fatty get on, Jenkins? He hasn't been on the field all year, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? At the same time, you got to know where you're at. And,
mhm,
for me, look, they were the Bears were in it for a little while, but again, silly pen. Look, I mean, his attitude could fit right in from like the previous regime. I mean, that's sort of like the thing for me. I mean, that he probably fit right in then. When of course Mark Tressel, of course, famously flubbed. This team is we're gonna have a team that's selfish and undisciplined. That was selfish and undisciplined. Look, I get that
mhm,
Jenkins was trying to defend his guy, but you gotta know where you're at. I mean, you were already you were moving the ball, but yet you do stupid things and say stupid things. And look, I know that the defensive guy for the Vikings pushed you first or pushed field out of bounds first. I get it, but look,
mhm.
they always get the second guy. We've seen that throughout the season. So I'm not that was just not very this wasn't very smart on his part. So and look, I mean, as far as the undisciplinedness of the team is, I mean, I think a lot of these teams are over it at the end of the season. So I think we know Nagy's gone and probably the rest of the coaching staff is gone. A lot of these guys are going to be, off the books. Hicks kind of said like kind of like a goodbye, essentially, if you will. And also too, some other guys, A-Rob, even though he didn't play because he was a protocol
Mhm.
guy, I think he's already looking to see where he's going to play next. So I think empathy, I think, as I've heard people say about this Bears team. I think people are just at that point where, okay, let's get the rest of these 3 games over with and just, be done with it.
You're listening to Second City Sports on a special Wednesday pre-Christmas edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena are with you as we review quickly the Bears' 17-9 loss to the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. Let's quickly take a look at the numbers from Monday night's loss. Justin Fields was 26 of 39, 285 yards passing. He had a meaningless touchdown pass at the end of the game. His quarterback rating was a 96.6. He had 2 fumbles and lost 1 early in the game. Rushing statistics, David Montgomery, 18 carries, 60 yards. Justin Fields has 7 carries for 35 yards. Delano Mooney, 3 yards on 1 carry. Jakeem Grant, who's going to the Pro Bowl, and who's the only man that has a punt return for a touchdown this year in the NFL. He had 2 carries for 17 yards. In the receiving department, it was nice for Cole Kmet to show up, ladies and gentlemen, 6 catches for 71 yards. Darnell moving 5 catches for 63 yards. And your guy, Lakeena, Robert Quinn on the defensive side, had 2 sacks.
Yeah, I think for me, I think that's really the sort of standout. He definitely rebounded a lot from last season when I think he was hurt. I think mostly because he was hurt and he was not very
Mhm,
productive. He looked really good. So and look, I've said it before. I think look, the Bears were in it for a little bit, but again, I know people want to commend the Bears secondary because since a lot of those guys were shorthanded. But at the same time, too, I mean, if the Vikings were a little more consistent on offense, hey, then maybe there would have been a blowout. I'm just saying. So I think people need to kind of, take that for as you will. But fumbles and also other things. I know I've heard folks say is Fields really the answer. I think people need to kind of just sort of put the brakes on that for a little bit. I mean, yeah, they did. Defense did what they could, but again, they gave up some big plays themselves. So for me, I mean, it's sort of twofold. I mean, Bruce Irvin had had a couple of tackles. Of course, Robert
mhm.
Quinn had 2 sacks. Key Hicks had 2 sacks. So, okay, I mean, that's fine. It's meaningless now. You're 4-10 now. So, it doesn't really. It's not going to matter anymore. So, for me, I think this sort of okay. You stayed with it for a little bit. I know that Fields fumble was just awful. When Danzo, I should say, recovered it.
Mhm.
Cameron Dancer for the Vikings. So it was just like okay, it was sloppy, but yet apparently 16 million people are gluttons for punishment. So I don't know, but yeah, but like I said before, I don't want to spend too much time on this game, Sid, because I'm just like I kept it in the background. I listened to the comments of what the guy said. I heard Brian Greasy say, "Look, there changes need to be made," essentially, because we all know his not very good history with the Bears. So
Mhm.
and also too, I know that some people say, "Well, would Louis Riddick should to try to like keep him in town and such?" But if you're Louis Riddick, I mean, like, do you really want to? I mean, the boost's probably better for it. I think the boost sort of like, for your own, like, you know,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
your own sanity. And, and I know they're going to try and kind of, make sure they, keep this team together. We'll see if they try to keep them together because, ABC is going to be having the Super Bowl. So I'm sure they're going to want to keep a consistent team.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they will want to do that, but I mean, look, I'm at this point in the season where like, yo, let's get these 3 games over with. Just let's go. Let's keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on a special Wednesday pre-Christmas edition. We're live in 11 color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena are here with you. Let's move over to other NFL action that took place to wrap up Week 14 over the Week 15 rather over the last couple of days. Let's start off with the first game that took place on Monday. This was a game that was made up from Saturday. It was the Oakland Raiders over the Cleveland Browns, 16-14. Carlson hit the last-second field goal with no time on
Mhm.
the clock. Nick Mullins was your starting quarterback for the Browns. He didn't look that great, but Cleveland's running game didn't look that great either. As I said to you on Monday, Lakeena, and last Friday when we did our picks with Christine, it was supposed to be Cleveland's defense to carry the day. They kind of did that, but you could tell that the issues with COVID throughout their roster really, the lack of bodies really, and the lack of execution down the stretch really cost the Browns. I think you can pretty much tell their playoff hopes goodbye.
Yeah, and also too, I believe Miles Garrett got hurt. So, I think he tweaked his ankle, I think, at the end of the game or near the end of the game. So I yeah, that was just not a good and look, the Browns they hung in there. I will say this. I mean, look,
Yeah.
Mullins did what he could. I know I remember he said like right before, pregame that he didn't know any of the guys' names yet when he did it. So, you gotta commend him for at least trying to do what he can. But, Derek Carr, I mean, late. I mean, he was sort of
Hmm.
put together. I think he got nicked up too, but then he was able to come back. Led Las Vegas, I should say, down the field and to a last second field goal late. So keeping their playoff hopes alive. And I know the Browns are 7-7, but it's a lot of tie breaks. So you can probably say bye bye to their playoff hopes.
Yeah, and they have a game against the Green Bay Packers on the road on Christmas Day. This upcoming Saturday, we'll give our Week 16 picks later on in the show. Let's recap last night's action. There were two games. Most of the country got a chance to watch Philadelphia defeat the Washington football team 27-17. Jalen Hurts had 3 touchdowns in total, 2 rushing. He was 20 of 26
Mhm.
for 296 yards. He had a touchdown pass and interception. His QB rating was 110.4. In the rushing department for the Eagles, Miles Sanders had 18 carries, 131 yards. Jordan Howard, the former Bear, I love Damon Montgomery, but Jordan Howard would look good in the Bears uniform by now. Jordan Howard had 15 carries, 69 yards. As I mentioned, Jalen Hurts had 2 rushing touchdowns. In the receiving department, even though he had a bad bounce off his foot early in the game,
Mhm.
tight end Dallas Goedert had 7 catches for 135 yards. Jalen Reagor had 3 catches for 57 yards. And Devontae Smith had 3 catches for 40 yards. Lakeena, the Eagles, as we talked about, they're still a young team, but Washington, they were hurt literally by COVID and key
Mhm.
players missing in action. Washington got up on them early, but Philadelphia found a way to come back and get a key divisional win at home.
They did, and the rest of their schedule, they play within a division. They've actually played Washington again in a couple of weeks, and they played Dallas and the
Hmm.
Giants at Dallas. In between that, so Hurts, that's 9 rushing touchdowns for him this year, which is tied with Mike Vick from
Hmm.
his rookie season, his 2010 season for the most by Eagles quarterback in the
Hmm.
history of the franchise. But yeah, I mean, look, I know people have always been questioning whether or not is Jalen Hurts sort of the answer. Look, remember he doesn't have a lot of talent around him. I mean, probably
Hmm.
Devontae Smith, but he's only a rookie. Then you
Hmm.
also have a new coaching staff, so you just don't know. And we'll see if they can make the playoffs. I mean, a lot has to happen. They got to keep winning, and the other things ahead of them got to keep it going. So it'll be interesting. And look, I watched some of that game, and look, I think the Eagles looked like a team that was, that wanted to make that wanted to kind of make that playoff push. I know
Hmm.
Washington had a lot of guys that are out due to COVID. All their coach, I think half their coaching staff, had to, were in
Hmm.
protocols and they're in quarantine. Some of them, so they did what they could. Garrett Gilbert did what he could, but they just couldn't make the big plays late.
Yeah, taking a look at the numbers for the Washington football team, Gabe Gilbert, who was signed off the New England Patriots practice squad a day before yesterday, he was 20 of 31, 194 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, QB rating of 81.9. Antonio Gibson, their star running back, had 15 carries for 26 yards in the early touchdown. In the receiving department, Terry McLaurin had 2 catches for 51 yards. Antonio Gibson, their star running back, had the most catches, 6 of them for 39 yards. Lakeena, as Washington did what they could, especially early, but their defense did get 3 sacks, but Washington could not muster up much offense in the second half, and Philadelphia got the key divisional win as they
They
proved their
really
record now to 7-7.
Yeah, like I said before, a lot has to happen in front of them, and they have to win out,
Hmm.
and a lot has to happen in front of them for them to sneak in. But we'll see. I mean, look, the NFC East is. I know some people say it's Dallas. Dallas will probably end up winning that division, but
Hmm.
Eagles are they may get a push from somebody. They play each other too, so we'll see what happens.
In the other contest that was running airing simultaneously on Fox, it was the Los Angeles Rams defeating the Seattle Seahawks by 10. 2010, the Rams improved their record to 10-4. Seattle drops to 5-9. For the Rams, Matthew Stafford overcomes a shaky turnover. His QB rating was 106.1. He was 21 of 29 for 244 yards and 2 touchdown passes, both of them to wide receiver Cooper Kupp. In the rushing department, the Rams had Sonny Michel had 18 carries, 92 yards. Darrell Henderson had 6 carries for 23 yards. In the
Mhm.
receiving department, with the 2 touchdown catches, Cooper Kupp had 9 of them for 136 yards.
Yeah, Cup, I guess, breaks Isaac Bruce's record for the most receptions in Rams history in a single season. So kudos to him. I know people are going to say that he should be up there as probably one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and I think he's proving that. Now, as far as look, I know there was a questionable pass interference call. I know DJ Dallas was, pleading his case for. I don't
Hmm.
know if it was with Ramsey or with it was one of their secondary guys that that should have been called for PI. They're not going to call that late in the game, so it just kind of like sort of a wasted breath there. And look, Seattle. I mean, that's the Bears' next opponent. They're 5-9 right now. You can probably say bye bye to their playoff hopes.
Hmm.
So, and as far as the Rams, I mean, they probably still have an outside shot at a 1 seed. I mean, they're tied with the Cardinals right now. They split their series, so it's gonna come down to tiebreakers. So we'll see. I mean, they got the Vikings, they had the Vikings the day after Christmas, and they go at the Ravens and they host the 49ers to finish everything off. So they could win two of those three and perhaps maybe sneak in there, maybe to not only win the NFC West, but perhaps won't get that 1 seed.
Speaking of LA Rams, you mentioned Jalen Ramsey. He returned from COVID. He had 5 total tackles in all of the game last night. He had two. He had passes deflected. Also, to Odell Beckham Jr., the star wide receiver, he returned to action off the COVID list. He only had 1 catch for 7 yards. Jalen Ramsey made a huge difference in that secondary last night.
Yeah, so it's good. Yeah, they looked really good too, I guess, the defense, and also too Von Miller. I know he was coming back from protocols as well. He definitely looked a little bit was second in the team in tackles with 6. He also had a sack too, so he looked
Hmm.
pretty good coming back from the protocols. Excuse me, but yeah, I know Sean McVay was saying that this is like the first time in like a week that they've had a full team, practicing right before the game. So
Hmm.
that's like good on them, and they all getting healthy, which is great to see. But we'll get to some of the other later on when we do our picks. Other
Hmm.
teams are now having protocol issues and COVID issues, so we'll get to that in a second,
Yeah.
in a little bit. But yeah, so but look, like I said, the Rams they may have an outside shot at the 1 seed. Who knows? But it's all gonna look. There's a lot that can still happen. So 3 weeks left in the season. So we'll see.
We got less than a minute and a half before our bottom of the hour break. I was reading The Athletic this morning, and one of the writers suggested that Cooper Kupp should be in consideration for MVP. I brought up my case for Myles Garrett on our last show on Monday. I know Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, and perhaps maybe Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts, their stud running back, are the top 3 candidates for NFL MVP right now. And this article this morning made a great case for Cooper Kupp. He's gonna have to have monster numbers over these next 3 games, and perhaps for the Rams to get the number 1 seed, if for even him to make a dent between Rodgers and Brady. I agree with the analytical stance of the article that I read this morning, but should he be considered on that list? Yeah, but it's gonna take hate to say it, a monstrous effort over the next 3 weeks, and perhaps the Rams get a number 1 seed for Cooper Kupp to even be considered in the top 3, top 2 in terms of being in contention for NFL MVP.
I think so. I think I think he's definitely kind of like right and like sort of like knocking on the door of
Hmm.
Brady and Rogers. And you can probably put Jonathan Taylor in there as well. So I think he's probably kind of like, sneaking in there like in the window, like, okay, I want to get into. But yeah, so like you said,
Hmm.
he'll have his chances. I mean, the Vikings secondary is sort of, suspect. The Ravens, they've had too many injuries, so he'll have big numbers. He should have big numbers there. 49ers, their secondary is actually pretty good. So we'll see. And who knows? That a lot could be at stake by the time they play each other. It could be a playoff spot for them, and perhaps maybe a 1 seed for the Rams. So we'll see. But like I said, it's all going to come down to you know, the concept and horse, Ken Stafford getting the ball, or I'm sure there are going to be a lot of guys that are going to be guarding him. He's going to be the target now. So I'm thinking, we'll see what happens. He's definitely stepped up, with Robert Woods being out the rest of the year. So,
Hmm.
I think he's been the number one guy. So we'll see what happens. Now, real quick, so before we go to break, who are your studs and duds for week 15?
Ooh, I'll go with Cooper Cup from last night. I don't have the rest of the schedule in front of me, but I'll say Aaron Rodgers again. That's number two. And number three, I'm trying to figure for number three. Number three. Give me a couple seconds here. Well, this is live, so anything goes. Number three. Number three. Just because I'll say the Houston Texans will actually showing up and playing a full 16-minute game.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly.
I'll throw him a bone.
All right, yeah. I'll say Jonathan Taylor, another 170 yards, breaking all kinds of records, being right there for the MVP. Let's see. Cam Jordan and the rest of that Saints defense for basically stopping Tom Brady and kind of like taming him and that offense, although they're having their own issues too. And I'll say Trayvon. I'll say Trayvon Diggs. I mean, 10 interceptions this year already. One away from breaking the franchise record. In the single season by the for the Cowboys. So he's definitely. You got to think he should be in consideration for the MVP, but he probably won't because they don't like defensive guys. But yeah, those are my top three. Duds for me. I'll make them quick. The Jags. I mean, I guess it's a personnel thing, not really just a coaching issue. The Bears, just for being the Bears, and also too, like I said, and also too, I'll say Tampa. I mean, and I know that
Mhm.
the defense, Dennis Allen had a great game plan, but it just what happened. You're still wondering like what the heck happened, but yeah, those are my duds.
Yeah, my that's Bears, Bears, Bears. Like Destiny Child, Bills, Bills, Bills. It's Bears, 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 and I'll leave it at that. Lakeena, we need to take a 2-2 timeout. The Chicago Bulls, they're back from COVID. Are they? And we have another team that's in major trouble, at least on the court anyway. And plus, we'll have our discussion about the nominees for the 2022 Basketball Hall of Fame nominees. Along with Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. You're listening to Second City Sports on a special Wednesday edition pre-Christmas celebration right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
DeMar DeRozan with 9 on the clock, under a minute to go. DeMar, top side three, got it!
The action on the Bulls Radio Network, 115-110 over the Lakers on Sunday. Chicago back on the floor after having a pair of games postponed last week because of a COVID-19 outbreak. DeMar DeRozan with 38 points. He missed 2 weeks in the NBA's health and safety protocols. Nikola Vukovic with 19 points and 13 boards. Lonzo Ball added 19 points as the Bulls snapped the 2-game slide. It was Chicago's first game since December the 11th. NFL tonight, the Bears take on the Vikings. Chicago with 17 players and all 3 coordinators on the reserve COVID-19 list. Defensive back Jalen Johnson and safety Deshaun Gibson, the latest additions to the COVID list on Sunday. The Vikings are 6-7, Chicago 4-9. The Bears trying to snap a 2-game slide. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Fever is a potential sign of COVID or the flu, and the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Be accurate with Exergen. Exergen temporal scanners, available at Walmart and other fine retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com. That's EXERGEN.com. Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to a pre-Christmas celebration of the special Wednesday edition of Second City Sports. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena are here with you. You have a question or comment for us during our now 90-minute extravaganza, you can go to our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago or go to Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type your questions or comments in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Lakeena, we have some breaking news regarding the Chicago Bulls as we talk Bulls at NBA. The Bulls Raptors game tonight at the United Center, which was set for 7 o'clock Chicago time, has been postponed due to lack of available players for the Toronto Raptors, as they have been and still are dealing with their COVID issues. So once again, the Bulls Raptors game tonight has been postponed at the United Center due to a COVID outbreak with the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors have a lack of available healthy players to compete in this game tonight. Lakeena, before we get to the actions on the court over the last from the last couple of days, Adam Silver was on the NBA Today TV show with Malika Andrews yesterday, and basically said that they're not going to go the route that the NHL has gone on and taking an extended pause for the holiday break. As we talked about, Lakeena, for the last couple of shows, the NBA are just like all these other 3 major sports. I know baseball is off right now because they don't play at this time of the year, but it's all about the money at the end of the day. They're going to do what they can when they can to make up these games. Last year, there were no fans in the stands in the majority of our stadiums across the United States. The fans are back now. You can take every precaution in the world, but we all know that this is why we call it professional sports. It all comes down to money, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of the thing. I know I heard some comments where people say, "Oh, well, how could he say that? It should be about the safety of the players and the rest of the fans and such." Yeah, look, he's thinking about that. I'm sure say what you want about Adam Silver. He's very transparent and he's very honest. And he said, "Look, we can do all the protocols that we want, but look, you got guys who are vaccinated; they're getting breakthrough cases, so it's
Exactly.
not." So you can't really, play around with that kind of thing. So it's all about the money too. Now there might be some games, the Christmas games, some of them might be moved around, for purposes because some guys are in protocols and such. But there's really nothing you can do. And look, you can make these games up as the season goes. I'm sure they'll figure it out in that sense. But look, the Bulls will have 6 days off, so. And I know DeMar DeRozan will not be very happy about that because he was just starting to get into a groove and he was bored. So he'll be bored again for another few days. And, look, I'm sure, Billy Donovan will have to try to be creative and what they can do. But I guess the good news is that, Zach LaVine, Ayo Dosunmu and all the other players, Trey Brown Jr., who are, he's off protocols now, but the other guys that have been in protocols, they should be back by the time they play their next game against the Pacers next week. So, that's some good news there. So yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, for the Chicago Bulls brief COVID break, they're 2-0. Of course, we talked about their victory over the Lakers on our last show from Sunday. Of course, they had a back-to-back and they defeated the Houston Rockets, even up their season series with the Rockets. 133-118 was your final from Monday. Lakeena, I was really impressed by Kobe White. He didn't have a great game on Sunday. I know that was his first game back from COVID, but on Monday night he really showed his skills by scoring 24 points in 32 minutes of action coming off the bench, including 5 of 9 shooting from 3-point range.
Yeah, they looked really good. And I thought that maybe they'd be a little, rusty, since, coming back, then they had to play another game, especially from that mostly a charged win against the Lakers. Now they had to come back and avenge that early loss that they have against the Rockets about a month ago. So they were able to bounce back from that. So that's a good thing. Also, too, Kobe had a nice game. So and also too, Vooch had a good game too with 18 and 6 rebounds. Lonzo was sort of the story. He had 9 points, 8 assists. So and also 5 rebounds and a steals. So 5 steals, I should say. So he looked really good. And DeRozan, of course, led the way with 26. 24 points for Kobe White off the bench. So you got to think that it's going to take him a while because he hasn't played in like 2 or 3 weeks. So you got to think it's going to take him a couple of games to kind of getting back into a rhythm. So it's all about a rhythm thing. We come back from COVID, so you have to kind of just get your conditioning going. Get your because we've seen with some guys it takes a lot out of it. COVID does, especially if you're trying to play a sport. So it's going to take a little while for some of these guys to kind of get into a rhythm, into the conditioning. So I'm not too worried about Kobe. Hopefully that's a preview, but now they're going to be off for another 6 days. So
Yeah.
they might be even more rusty. But again, look, it's not their fault. I mean, it's all the stuff that's going on around them. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, look, if you're 19 and 10, they're right up there with the best record in the East. So you'll take that. The fact that you're 2-0, especially having to take a long week off, that look. But look, the good news is you have most of all your guys back, so you can get it going.
I want to focus in on 2 players for the Chicago Bulls. First is Lonzo Ball. He has hit 7 3-pointers combined in his last 2 games. We all talked about his shooting needed to improve. It has improved over the last year or so. And we talked about his playmaking ability, which has made a huge difference in this Bulls team. But he is a nice 3rd or 4th option on this Bulls team when teams decide to double DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine when he gets back. And when Vooch is hitting, who are you going to double team? It leaves Lonzo Ball open. If you double team DeMar, is going to leave Zach open. If you double team Zach, is going to leave Vucevic open. If Vucevic, even if he's not hitting, if you pass the ball out, this is one thing I like about this Bulls team. Besides playing team defense, they pass the ball very well. They rotate the ball. Guys are moving. Whoever's open, and they can take the shot. And Lonzo Ball has been taking advantage of his open looks these last 2 games.
Yeah, he has, and he's not afraid to take those looks. I think he wants to show people that, hey, I'm actually a pretty good point guard. So, and he's doing just that. He can score too. He's, he can shoot the 3, he can, play the point, and I think that's sort of what you want to see if you're a Bulls fan. This is why, especially in the system that fits him just right. I think that's probably why he wanted to come to the Bulls, and he's doing just that. He was 4 from 9 from 3, so he's about 50% from 3. So look, I mean, it was a great team performance. I know they wanted to avenge that loss to Houston, and I know DeRozan wanted to avenge that loss too. So, he led the way there. And look, I think they did just that. I mean, look, Vooch looked really good. Been back-to-back games. People, I'm sure a lot of folks were ready for their Trey Vooch tweets, but that didn't end up being the case there. He scored 18. So yeah, I mean, look, a great team. That's also Alfonso McKinney, who they just signed to a 10-day contract. Another 10-day contract. He had 16. So I think if you're the Bulls, you try your best to try to keep him because he's been very consistent. I know he's a Chicago kid, so I know he wants to, he would love to play for the Bulls full time. So hopefully they'll keep him around the rest of the season. So yeah, so a lot of very good contributions from guys some guys you don't know, or guys that just picked up from the streets.
Yeah, Alfonso McKinney, he was on the backbone of those Warriors teams during the last couple of years, a few years ago, back in 2018, 2019. So he has a little bit of experience. He's taking advantage of his playing time right now, and he's showing it. If the Bulls can somehow hold on to him for the rest of the year, that'll be great because we don't know where this COVID situation is going. Hopefully the worst is behind this Bulls team. But if you find a way to keep him for the rest of the year, that just adds another weapon to already fully depth team. Now, the second player that I wanted to talk about, you brought up his name is Vucevic. I know he fell short of a double-double on Monday, but he had COVID a few weeks ago, and we told you guys it was going to take him a couple of games. It took a little bit sooner than what we thought, but it looks like Vucevic is getting his game back. I know, like you said, some people want to still trade him if they want to go get a bigger name like Karl-Anthony Towns, who I wish he's on the Bulls, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But Vucevic, I know he's not a defensive player. I don't expect him to be Dwight Howard or Dikembe Mutombo tomorrow morning, okay? But I heard our guy Sean Sierra talk about this earlier today on his program, Sean and Maya in the Morning. Get him involved early, like the Pistons did back in the day with James Edwards, like the Bulls did with Bill Cartwright during those early championship, those 3-peat championship years. Now, get him going early because even though game of basketball revolves around the 3-point shooting. I don't know about you, Lakeena, but it's much easier time than ever before to score your points in the paint.
Yeah, it is, and also too, I think he's gonna have that opportunity too, because the rules they kind of been the rules a little bit for the offensive guys. So I think Vooch will have a chance to kind of clean up and probably average a double double for the rest of the season. So I like the Vooch trade. It came out of nowhere. Yeah, I think he's been a good fit. And now that with COVID, now that when everybody else comes back, Zach and Ao and the rest of them, when they come back, they can kind of, be sort of like a unit too. And hopefully, the worst of it is behind them, like you said. So, hopefully we'll see this, this Vooch for the rest of the year. And I don't have to hear, Bulls Twitter going crazy.
Yeah, the Bulls' next game is Sunday night at 7 o'clock at the United Center versus the Indiana Pacers. You listen to a special edition of Second City Sports on the Wednesday, this pre-Christmas celebration edition. Along with Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. You listen to Sports Zone Chicago. You have a question or comment for us? Place your questions or comments in the comment section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Lakeena, let's start out backwards to go to last night's action from around the league. It was the Phoenix Suns defeating the Los Angeles Lakers at Staples Center again, this time by the score of 108-90. Jameson Crowder had 3 points for the Phoenix Suns, but it was DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker, who just returned from injury a few days ago, leading the way. DeAndre Ayton had 19 points and 11 rebounds, while Devin Booker, in 32 minutes of action, had 24 points, 7 assists, and 9 rebounds. Chris Paul, 11 points, 9 assists in 29 minutes of action. Lakeena, we talked about this before for the last couple of weeks. The Phoenix Suns are telling people what we did last year wasn't a fluke. We're even more dangerous this year. That's why they have a top 3 record in the league, 25 wins and only 5 losses.
Yeah, they've looked really good, and I know that look, like I said, they were able to kind of hold down the fort while Booker was gone with his hamstring injury. But the good news is that he's been back. They haven't skipped it. They haven't missed a beat. I mean, they've looked really good. Ayton stepped up. Mikal Bridges, has hit some big shots in that game. Also, 2 guys off the bench. Cam Johnson, Jamel McGee, and Cam Payne. I think they're proving to people that, hey, you know what, this wasn't a fluke. I mean, we're actually a pretty good team. Now, on the flip side, as for the Lakers, I know LeBron had 34 and Westbrook had 22, but unfortunately, I know they've got guys out due to COVID, protocols and such. AD's going to be out about over almost a month, or at the very least with a torn MCL. So for me, I don't know what to think about the Lakers. So they might be in trouble. I know some people have asked for Rob Pelinka's head. Also, too, you got to think. I know Frank Vogel's in COVID protocol, so I'm sure a lot of folks are going to be asking him, going to be calling for his job. So I don't know. I mean, I think the Lakers are in real trouble here.
I couldn't agree with you more, Lakeena. You mentioned LeBron James' 34-point performance last night, especially now without Anthony Davis. LeBron's going to have to carry the load. I know Russell Westbrook had 22 points and 10 assists, but you didn't really get much from your bench last night. Trevor Ariza was the only one, had 12 points, including 3 from 3-point range. Carmelo Anthony really struggled last night with only 7 points. But between your starting 2 guards, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Chicago's very own, and Wayne Ellington, both of them had a combined total of 6 points. That's not going to get it done. Isaiah Thomas, who's been hot the first couple of games since being signed from the G League, he only had 3 points last night. So I know the Lakers are going through COVID issues as well, but you need more help if you're LeBron James, and assuming or hopefully that these injuries for the Lakers do not continue. But if it does, he has to carry much of the load. These heavy minutes will start to wear down on him, especially at the end of the season as you get ready to play in the playoffs. We've seen this is his 4th year in the Lakers uniform. Outside of the bubble year in 2020, LeBron James has been injured every year since he's been in the Lakers uniform. TNT threw up a stat last night. Throughout his first up until the point that he signed with the Lakers a few years ago, he only missed 71 total regular season games. Since he's been with the Lakers, he's missed 71 games.
Well, people also need to remember too, he's 36.
Yeah, and he's been playing professionally since 18, and this is his 19th year.
Yeah, so he's not gonna, you're not gonna see LeBron. It shouldn't have to depend on LeBron to kind of carry the load, and this is gonna be a wear and tear on his body, and I think that's gonna be sort of the thing that might catch up to him, and not in a good way. So if you're the Lakers, you hope that maybe AD can come back in about in a couple of weeks, in a few weeks, I should say, if other guys can come back from protocols. There might be a whole lot of that that be coming down the pipe for the Lakers. So if they don't get it together soon, I mean, I think you probably just say that whatever hopes they have for a championship, even for the playoffs, they may have to say bye-bye.
The first game of the TNT doubleheader last night saw the Miami Heat dominate the Indiana Pacers 125-96. Both Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro both added 26 points.
Yeah, they've been very solid, especially, they've had injury issues, Butler's still out, Bam Adebayo, he's still out as well. So the fact that they were able to kind of, dominate the Pacers, which is extraordinary. Of course, we know what the situation is with the Pacers. They're probably going to be by February, a lot of those guys in the Pacers are probably going to be gone, some of them. So, you take that for what it's worth. The fact that
real quickly, Lakeena, not to interrupt you, but I just thought of this. I actually thought of this morning, and it just popped in my head just now. And I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. Could Miles Turner? Do you think it's a realistic possibility that Miles Turner could be in a Bulls uniform?
If they can make it happen, you may have to give up Kobe, and I know that AK and Evans don't want to do that. So I think look, it's like I'm sure they're kind of keeping an eye on what's going on here, but. Like I said, you may have to give up some guys. You have a first round pick. You don't have a second round pick because of punishment from the stuff with Alonzo Ball. But but we'll see. I know people want Turner in the Bulls uniform, but I think he's probably is what they need because he is they're sort of missing that interior guy. But we'll just have to wait and see. Now going back to the Heat, I mean the fact that they've been able to kind of keep it up. Duncan Robinson. I know Tyler here. I know that our girl Alana Tucker is a big fan of his. He had 26 off the bench last night. And, Duncan Robinson also had 26 points. I mean, Max Struss for DePaul, all you DePaul fans out there, former DePaul player, he had 18. So they've had guys step up. So that's a testament to Eric Spoelstra's job, the job that he's doing. So, the fact that they're 19-13, I think they're like the fourth seed right now, the third or the fourth seed right now in the East. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive. As we said before, the Miami Heat, you should not overlook this team. They may not be filled with superstars, but they're filled with talent and grit, and you got to give head coach Eric Spoelstra a whole lot of credit on that. They'll be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. They can give teams like Chicago, Milwaukee, and Philly trouble come playoff time. Staying with the Eastern Conference, the New York Knicks finally get back on track last night. They improved their record to 14-17 on the year after a 105-91 win over the Detroit Pistons. Kemba Walker, after missing the last 18 games due to a coach's decision, Coach Tibbs gave him a starting 9 last night. Kemba Walker took advantage in 40 minutes of action. He had 21 points, 8 of 21 shooting, including 3 of 9 for three-point range. Also added 8 rebounds and 5 assists.
Yeah, you wonder, are they going to keep him there more often? But yeah, I mean, Mitchell Robinson also has 17 off the bench. So, I think the Knicks needed this because they have been struggling lately. So they're 14-17 right now. So we'll see if they can get together. I mean, that's a pretty, the Pistons are not there yet. They're 5-25, but they still got players on that team, including Kate Cunningham. So, I mean, could this be a start of a winning streak for the Knicks? We'll just have to wait and see. Let's see.
The Dallas Mavericks finally won a game. Congratulations to Jason Kidd. They get their revenge and defeating the Minnesota Timberwolves 114-102. Jalen Brunson in 40 minutes of action. He was a starter at the last minute. He had 28 points, including 10 of 18 shooting from the field, 3 of 8 for three-point range, and also Powell had 15 points along with 8 rebounds. The Dallas Mavericks are still missing Luka Doncic, but it was a total team effort. They collected the win and defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves by 12 points. Lakeena, I wanted to ask you because I didn't get a chance to catch it live last night. Dirk Nowitzki was a guest analyst with TV voice, Dallas Mavericks TV voice, Mark Followill on Bally Sports Southwest. Did you get a chance to catch any of it? If so, how did he sound in your opinion?
He said it pretty good. I mean, I got to think that, this might be something that he would, like to do. I know he said that he probably wouldn't mind doing some TV work, but maybe just more locally, maybe not nationally. So but he sounded pretty good. I mean, he knew when to jump in when he didn't step on anybody. So he sounded pretty good last night. And I guess Tim Hardaway Jr. I think got banged up, nicked up. I think he tweaked something at practice, so that's why Brunson had to, come into the lineup. So, but not too, didn't affect him too much. He had 28 points, so kind of lead the way there. And I know they wanted to avenge that loss to Minnesota a couple of days ago. And like you said, Doncic is out. They took that as a rest game for him. So, but the fact that they were able to do this without Luka, I know there have been some folks that were questioning whether or not Jason Kidd could coach this team. They got a nice win against a not a great Minnesota team, but they've been up there at 5. They've kind of lingering at 500. So but still a nice win nonetheless.
And before we close out this segment and give you the schedule for tonight and tomorrow, before the NBA prepares for its Christmas Day games, the New Orleans Hornets, they lose again. Of course, they're going through their issues with Zion Williamson. The Jazz defeated them on Monday, 112-102. The Jazz get back on track after losing a heartbreaker at home to Washington last Saturday. The Spurs blew out the Clippers. I think that the Clippers still going to be fine, but the Spurs, they're going through their transition period right now. So it was nice to get see the Spurs get a win with a young squad. And of course, the Warriors continue to roll. They defeated the Kings 113-98. And then one more score to pass along to you guys for last night. It was the New Orleans Pelicans defeating the Portland Trail Blazers 111-97.
Brandon Ingram had 28 in that game, and New Orleans with Zion. I know. I think they may just have to sit him the rest of the season. I feel like I don't know if he wants.
I think that's where it's headed. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that's where it's headed.
It's happening. It's happening because he had a setback and then they had another procedure on his foot. So I think they should just sit him and see what happens there. But now going into tonight's games, the first game of the NBA TV doubleheader, you got Orlando and Atlanta. We'll see if that even again these games are subject to change because of various protocols. So I know Atlanta, I think Gallinari and also someone else. We know Trae Young, is now in health and safety protocols. I think
don't be shy. They'll be back if he's back for Saturday's game because they're the first game up on Christmas against the Knicks.
They may have to move that, but who knows? But yeah. So we'll see what happens if this game is even played tonight. But again, we'll see. Cleveland and Boston, also Houston and Milwaukee. Denver and OKC at 7:00, and also the Clippers will try to bounce back from the loss to the Spurs a couple of nights ago, and they go to Sacramento and play the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings beat them a couple of weeks ago at their new arena, so the Clippers have revenge on their mind. So that's the schedule for tonight. And for tomorrow, the rest of the league will finish out their schedule as planned before they take a Christmas Eve break. The Nets and Trailblazers, their game has been postponed due to the COVID outbreak for the Brooklyn Nets. But the rest of the schedule looks like this for tomorrow. As Lakeena said, these the times or the games could be changed, but as of now, this is the schedule for tomorrow, the 23rd. Houston will visit Indiana. The New Orleans Pelicans will visit Orlando to take on the Magic. Atlanta will play Philadelphia. The Pistons will visit the Heat. The Warriors and Knicks will get on at MSG at 6:30 Chicago time. The NBA TV game of the night will have Milwaukee at Dallas at 7:30. New Orleans will visit Denver. OKC has been playing very well lately. The Thunder will face off against the Phoenix Suns. The Timberwolves and the Jazz will do battle in Salt Lake City. The Grizzlies and the Warriors will do battle in Chase Center at 9 p.m. John Moran is back, by the way, so that should be a great matchup. Remember, Memphis beat Golden State the first time last month at the Chase Center, and that was without John Morant. And the Spurs and the Lakers will wrap up Thursday's action at 9:30. So the Lakers are trying to get back on track. Lakeena, I'm looking forward to the Grizzlies and Warriors tomorrow night. Steph versus John Morant. We talked about the hot streak that the Grizzlies have been on for the last 2 or 3 weeks without Ja. Should we take the Memphis Grizzlies seriously? And this will be their first big test. I know they, like I mentioned just a moment ago, they defeated the Warriors the last time they played over a month ago. But this is going to be a total different story now with Ja back in the lineup.
Yeah, I'll be interested because they actually lost their first game, with Ja back, so against OKC. So it's gonna be, we'll see how the team responds. So they've been on a hot streak lately, so but that should be a good one. I know, Steph and the Warriors want their revenge since Memphis beat them earlier this season. So it should be a fun one there, as it is when these two teams play in recent months, I should say. Now for the Christmas games, again, these could change. Atlanta and New York, that's the first game. That's ESP.
Mm-hmm.
That's ESPN game. Boston and Milwaukee at 1:30. Chicago time. That's the first of the ABC triple header.
Mm-hmm.
Golden State and Phoenix. That should be a fun one.
I wish Klay Thompson was back for that one. I'll still watch it, but I wish Klay Thompson was back for that one.
They'll play again, I'm sure, by the time he gets back, so I don't have to worry. We wouldn't worry too much about that. Now, again, this could change. Brooklyn and the Lakers, again, this could change. Also, to Dallas and Utah. That should be a fun one in the nightcap for the Christmas Day games. So, again, these games could change, through protocols and such, times and whatnot. As already kind of put out there that these games could change, but again, we'll see. And finishing up Sunday real quick, the Battle of Florida, Orlando and Miami, Toronto, they should be back for protocols by then. But again, this is, so that's a change. Cleveland and Philadelphia and Washington, that should be a fun one at 5. Memphis and Sacramento, that should be another fun one at 5 o'clock.
And wrapping up the Sunday schedule, Pistons at Spurs at 6 o'clock. The Pacers and the Bulls from the United Center at 7. And of course, the Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers at 8 o'clock. So a lot of holiday basketball for you to enjoy. As Lakeena mentioned, the times and the dates could change, but right now that's the set schedule for this coming holiday weekend. Stay tuned for more sports and more fun as Second City Sports continues with our conversation of the 2022 Basketball Hall of Fame nominees, plus our Week 16 picks from the National Football League for this upcoming weekend, and plus a whole lot more, along with Lakeena McGee, which is she. I'm Sidney Brown. That's me. You listen to a special pre-Christmas celebration edition of Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. The NHL season is being paused through December the 26th. Amid a surge in positive COVID-19 cases across the league, COVID-19 absences led to a stream of postponements in recent days. 11 teams suspended operations entering Monday, and all cross-border matchups across the United States and Canada have been postponed. There have been 44 games postponed this season, and more than 15% of the league is in the COVID-19 protocol. The season is scheduled to resume on Monday the 27th, while the Blackhawks are scheduled to resume their season on the 28th at home against the Blue Jackets. NBA tonight, the Bulls are home against Toronto. Chicago's won 2 in a row. They're 19-10, a game and a half out of first place in the West, chasing the Nets. Chicago coming in after a 133-118 win over the Rockets on Monday. The Raptors in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference at 14-15. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Fever is a potential sign of COVID or the flu, and the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Be accurate with Exergen. Exergen temporal scanners, available at Walmart and other fine retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com. That's EXERGEN.com. Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports on a special Wednesday pre-Christmas celebration edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee. I am Sidney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidK80. Once again, that's SidK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
Follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. Make sure you follow War Media on all social media platforms. And if you have a question or comment for us during our now 16 minutes remaining in the show, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. You can type in your questions and comments in the comment section, and Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to do something stupid or decide to troll or be a Scrooge, since it's the holiday season, Lakeena will give you the beer lane beer boot.
Bye-bye.
I love saying that. Lakeena, let's get to our basketball discussion as the news came out yesterday regarding the nominees for the Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2022. It was announced on NBA Today's TV show on ESPN yesterday. It's a pretty long list, and there were some first-time nominees. We'll go through the list. Lakeena, I know it's a pretty long list, but we'll go through it together. Let's start out with the North America Committee. These are your first-time nominees. Ken Anderson, the coach. Fletcher Arrett, Johnny Bach, the name sounds familiar to you old school Bulls fans. Gene Best, Chauncey Billups, Rick Byrd, Muggsy Bogues, Irv Brown, Jim Birch, Marcus Camby, Tom Chambers, first-time nominee, John Clougherty, Michael Cooper, Jory Crawford, referee, Jack Curran, Mark Eaton, may his soul rest in peace, Cliff Evans, Hugh Evans, referee, Michael Finley, Chicago's very own, Steve Fisher, former college basketball head coach at San Diego State in the famous Fab Five in Michigan. Manu Ginobili, first-time nominee. Leonard Hamilton, Richard Hamilton, Tim Hardaway, Chicago's very own. Lou Henson, defining the line from back in the day, may his soul rest in peace. Referee Ed Hightower, David Hickson, a coach, first-time nominee. Bob Huggins, Mark Jackson, yes, the former player, not TV analyst. That Mark Jackson, Herman Johnson, coach. Marcus Johnson, current TV analyst for the Milwaukee Bucks. George Karl, Gene Cady, Ken Kern, Sean Marion, Chicago's very own. Riley Massimino, Bob Collop, Denny Miles, Jake O'Donnell, referee. Bo Ryan, Norman Sloan, Jennifer Azzi, Gary Blair, Becky Hammond, Susie McConnell, and Lindsay Whalen.
Yeah, Lindsay Whalen and Becky Hammond are both first timers, so you got to think one, and then
Lindsay Whalen is a first timer, yes.
Yeah, so we'll see. Well, no, Becky Hammond is too, I believe. So that I'm sure both of them get in. Look, I don't know what the criteria is for the Basketball Hall of Fame. I know some people say they let everybody in, and they probably will too eventually.
Yeah, it's not the NBA; it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. It includes your high school, college, and international play. Yeah,
international players, contributors. So
yeah.
So I'm sure Rip Hamilton will probably get in first ballot. Maybe Tim Hardaway Sr. might get in. I think Chauncey Billups could get in too as a first ballot, because remember he had a good career when he was at Colorado as well. Kind of helped them, kind of put them on the map back in the mid 90s, mid to late 90s. Of course, 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-Star, All NBA selection, Finals MVP as well, part of that 04 Pistons team that upset the Lakers. But yeah, I mean, look, George Karl, I'm a little surprised he hasn't been on there already. So Bob Huggins as well, for all his college accomplishments. Swin Cash, you gotta think maybe she might get into. So yeah, so it's going to be tough. But again, they go through like different, finalists and such. So if the finalists won't be shared until like during the Final Four, that won't be until April. So
yeah, the next stage will be the nominees will be the next round will be announced during All-Star Weekend in Cleveland. Like you said, the finalists will be announced during the Final Four.
Yeah, so you gotta think there's gonna be some names that are probably gonna be left out, unfortunately. But yeah, I think some of those names I think are very deserving. Some of the names that you mentioned, I'm a little surprised that that they're not already in, but it is what it is. Look, I think Muggsy Bogues can kind of revolutionize basketball, so I'm a little surprised he's not in already.
Yeah, he has the best, if not the best, but he has one of the best assist to turnover ratio numbers of all time.
Yes, so I think he'll probably get in there too. Sean Marion, I think he may have to wait a couple years. I feel like I know he had a good college career, but I don't know, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting list. There are going to be some folks that are going to be left out. They may have to wait another year or two, or maybe 3. But yeah, it should be interesting though, that list. So it's gonna, look, I mean, the Hall of Fame is always tough, especially with the Basketball Hall of Fame. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, there's another list that's full of first-time nominees. We'll get to that in just a second. But I remember having this discussion with Ken Davis when we were doing the Dean Davis show, and Michael Thompson, who's the current Lakers radio analyst for their broadcast, he brought up his former teammate Michael Cooper, who hasn't been in the Hall of Fame yet. And I wanted to ask you, I'm surprised that Michael Cooper isn't in the Hall of Fame, because he's a 5-time champion. He was 6th Man of the Year and I want to say defensive player of the year, and he's won a title as a WNBA head coach.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he's not on. He hasn't, not on the thing yet. But again, look, we don't know how the criteria is. We don't
Mhm.
know how these folks pick him. I mean, we know the football and the baseball and such, but the basketball is a little. I don't want to maybe not as complicated. But I guess they want to kind of keep it. Try to make sure everybody it's inclusive to everyone. So it is what it is. But yeah, I'm sure he'll probably get some consideration as well. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's going to be interesting to see who gets left out, especially among the
Mhm.
first timers. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and Manu Ginobili, that's an easy one. He's going to get in, of course, with his championships with the Spurs in 2003, 05, 07, and 14. That speaks well of itself. Of course, he helped Team Argentina in the Olympics, so he's pretty much a lock. Now, Tom Chambers, I'm not sure. I know he had a very good stretch with the Seattle Sonics, and of course, a couple years in Phoenix. But is it Hall of Fame worthy? I gotta look into the numbers a little bit more. He was a very good player. He's a multi All-Star, one All-Star game MVP in '87 when he was a member of the Sonics when the All-Star weekend was in Seattle. But is it Hall of Fame worthy? I'm not sure. I gotta look in deeper into the numbers. But he may eventually get in, but I think he'll be waiting a long time too.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys I'll probably be waiting a bit. So again, like I said before, it's going to be interesting to see who gets the nod and who doesn't. I mean, there's probably going to be some familiar names that will probably be left out. They may have to
Mhm.
wait a few years, but yeah, like I said, it's a nice list. I mean, like I don't want to be a part of that committee.
Yeah. From the direct elect category, contributor committee nominations: Dick Baumgartner, Henry Bibby, that's Mike Bibby's father. For those of you doing your research, Marty Blake, famous scout, Vic Bubas, Doug Collins, Larry Costello, Wayne Duke, Bob Gibbons, first time nominee, the late Johnny Red Kerr, Dale Harris, and some other highlighted names:
Yeah,
Fred
I
McCall,
think yeah,
Jack
I think
McCloskey, the late Jack McCloskey. I think that's a no-brainer.
mhm.
Billy Packer, Will Robinson, Gene Shue, Donnie Walsh, he should be in there. He
Mhm.
helped the Indiana Pacers franchise to go to where it is now. And Jerome Williams and the late Jim Valvano. I'm surprised he besides his '83, of course, NC State team being mentioned in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm surprised he's not him by himself is not in the Basketball Hall of Fame already. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, as a contributor. Yeah, I think Doug Collins, he's already in, I believe. So I'm a little surprised but yeah, he'll probably get as a contributor to also Billy Packer. I don't know however folks feel about him, later in his
Yeah.
career. He was a very good, revolutionary for college hoops. So I think he'll probably get into. So yeah, I mean, look, it's gonna be interesting. Like I said before, I mean, like I said, I don't know the criteria. I know that's a separate committee and for the contributors, but like I said, it's going to be interesting though. I think we'll see who gets in and who doesn't. I mean, like I said, it's still a long process. So
Yeah, so that's the highlight class for the highlight um first time nominees for the Basketball Hall of Fame 2022. And so like you said, like it's going to be interesting to see how the committee elects any first time members going outside of Ginobili. Like I said, Manu Ginobili um is a no-brainer, but some other guys like Tom Chambers and Muggsy Bogues, they may have to wait, but probably not too long. So we'll see what happens with those players.
yeah, so it's going to be very interesting. There, listeners, I can see sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Lakeena McGee along with Sydney Brown. So a lot of things coming across the wires here. Said when it
Mhm,
comes to COVID, Texas A&M. We're going into college football for a second. Texas A&M,
mhm.
they don't have enough players apparently. So now now the Gator Bowl where Wake Forest they're already there, I believe, and now that's in question. And also to the playoff, the college football playoff folks announced that if the team is not available for the playoff, the team will forfeit and the opponent will advance to the title game. If both can't play, the other semifinal will be for the national championship game. Really? Seriously? Are we seriously doing this? I mean, look, I know it's about money and such, but look, we're talking
Mhm.
about safety of the players and also too that all this is really just so stupid. And you would think they would have had this type of you think they was having contingency plans like even before all this stuff because he had to think that this was going to be a problem.
Mhm.
So come on.
We all know the NCAA is a bunch of crooks and they lack foresight. But Lakina, we talked about this with the professionals. I'm gonna bring up the NFL as an example in just a moment. But like you said, the NCAA, didn't you learn your lesson from last year? And you pulled off your college football tournament last year with little to no issues. Okay, this year things are starting to get back to normal, even though we're having this outbreak. You really gonna try to pull these shenanigans? They're gonna take the playbook from the NFL, unless it's totally out of control. It's all about money, even though the players don't get paid. Yeah, I know we got the NIL rule now, but still, you're gonna start playing games with the players in these teams and the fans that are traveling to watch these games. No way. Those games are going to get played. ESPN is going to get all the money that they can get, and so are these schools. I just find it hard to believe that we're going to see some foolishness with this. But if we do, I won't be surprised because it's at the feet and hands of the NCAA.
A little bit of weirdness here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see if they actually, go through with it. I mean, reading this is just dumb that the fact that they're even thinking about that they would do this. Like, well, okay, they forfeit. I'm like, and plus, with the Big East, I mean, they have a similar thing because DePaul apparently, unfortunately, now 0-2 because some of the issues they've had with their program, which
Go
is
back
odd
to
because
basketball.
yeah, and also to which is weird because Seton Hall, who is supposed to have played, I believe tonight, they're also having COVID issues. Seton Hall is, so the fact that it counts as a loss for DePaul, I think is kind of, again, stupid. But again, that's just another thing. But yeah, I mean, they need to kind of redo some of these situations. Look, I know with scheduling and stuff, you make these schedules years in advance. But again, maybe you should have, maybe you should have planned that maybe something like this would happen. So I think it's just dumb. You're basically blaming the team for not keeping their kids healthy, which is the dumbest thing ever. But again, whatever.
Going to tying to the National Football League into this as well. Again, I was listening to Eric Dickerson. He has a local radio show in Los Angeles every Monday, and they were talking about the changes to the NFL protocols because they had games removed. They had played the rest of the schedule from last night. Last night with the two games that we mentioned last hour early in the show, and one of the changes to NFL's protocols was that if you're not showing any symptoms visibly, you can still play. And Eric Dickerson and Rodney P, I believe, they were talking about how the NFL is going to push through this, which I believe so as well. They did last year, which was no vaccines until around this time last year. But these professional leagues did not jump the line. But they brought up this popular scenario, and I'll bring this up with you in our audience. You can go to our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. We want to hear your questions or comments on this question. If it comes to the NFC, to the championship game, let's just say the NFC championship game, Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady for the second year in a row. If one of them or both of them has COVID, do you think that the league will cancel the game, or do you think they'll schedule for Monday or Tuesday of that week? Because it's all about money at this point. It always has been, always will be.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I think it's one of those things where if it comes down to look, Rodgers already has had COVID, so I don't think that's going to be a problem now.
He'll show you his toe.
Well, yeah, well, that toe thing, I don't, it doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, but like if Brady somehow gets COVID, I mean, yeah, I think they probably will do what they can. If it is a top player, I think they will try to do what they can to kind of, try to accommodate and because it's too much money involved, and I think people are going to say, well, wait a minute, so unless you're going to put all these guys in a bubble, which is going to be hard to do, but
exactly.
But it's one of those things where maybe you should have had all this plan. I mean, look, they didn't plan for another variant to come in, and it turns out to spread even faster than the previous variant. So it's just one of those things where you sort of say to yourself, okay, let's plan, let's process it out and try to maybe plan all this. And in case, something does happen, we can kind of, okay, here's plan B, C, D, whatever, have go all the way up to F if you can, and just be careful and just try to maybe see if you can dust it.
Yeah, same thing with the Super Bowl. You're going to have a superstar matchup, in particular at the quarterback position. If it was Brady versus Mahomes for the second straight year, or Mahomes versus Rodgers, if one of them has it, I know the NFL has a specific time period that they could play the Super Bowl, but I guarantee you one of them has it. The NFL is going to wait. They could wait 6 months or 6 days, but they're going to get the Super Bowl in, just like the rest of these playoff games. They're going to get it in.
Well, yeah, I mean, too much money is involved, and
Exactly.
I feel like that's probably why you probably won't see any. Cause they may push it back. I mean, they may. I'm sure they're already thinking about maybe contingency plans in case this does happen.
Mhm.
Like apparently, California, it's going crazy right now. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, no one expected another variant to come out, but you got to think that this is going to be a part of life. And I think Adam Silver said it in his interview with Liga Andrews yesterday. It's going to be one of those days where this is, of course, it's going to be a part of life. So you just got to try to prepare accordingly and try to take care of everything and
And I
everyone
think,
and everyone's safe.
yeah, and I think Adam Silver, the commissioner, is being realistic about this anyway. So all these commissioners represent the owners. The owners are trying to make up the money from last year with no fans being in the stands. So, we're just going to have to deal with this thing. Now, as far as going back to the NBA, as far as Christmas is concerned, maybe one game gets moved, if that. But I guarantee you, we're going to be watching basketball for the majority of the day. Okay, and regarding that Nets Lakers game Saturday night, don't be shocked if Kevin Durant and or Kyrie Irving makes his regular season debut against the Lakers. Because if one of them or both of them don't play in that game, do you think the NBA lets that game go on? Yeah, you have LeBron James on the other side and Russell Westbrook, but are you gonna watch a bunch of has-beens and no names for the Brooklyn Nets? No, you're not.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see what they do because, like I said before, we're talking about a whole lot of other things
Mhm.
too. So it's going to be very interesting, and like we've been saying, I mean, it's going to get to the point where you're going to wonder, like, okay, what can be done here to combat this? I mean, the best you can do is just try to get vaccinated and just make sure you wear your mask and wash your hands and everything else. So.
You're listening to Second City Sports on a special Wednesday edition, our pre-Christmas celebration. We're live in 11 color along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. Let's go back to the college football playoff, Lakeena. We all know there's going to be Alabama versus Cincinnati and Georgia versus Michigan next Friday, I should say, for New Year's Eve. We'll give you our breakdowns for those games coming up on our shows next week. But the news came out earlier today that the New Year's six games will get on all a mega cast. I love those mega casts that ESPN has been doing for the last few years. What about you?
Yeah, I really like it. I like the coaches one. That's one of my favorites because you kind of get like
Mm-hmm.
the coaches' perspective, get various coaches from around the country,
And different TV angles as well.
So that's pretty cool. I like that. I mean, the one on ESPN too, where they just have like it's kind of like the Manning cast, but they just have guys, and have guys and gals just talking. It doesn't really
Yeah.
appeal to me. So, but look, I really tend to stick with like the regular broadcasts with whoever's doing the game, and also too with the, like I said, with the coaches, the coaches corner, the version they do that. So I really
Mm-hmm.
like that aspect of it. And they change it. They may keep a couple and then maybe change the coaches. But yeah, I like this idea that they're doing this for all of the New Year's Six games. They used to just do it for the playoffs and the semis and
Mm-hmm.
the final, but now they're gonna do it for all six New Year's Six games. I mean, that's gonna be very interesting.
I also like too. I wanted that even though ESPN Classic is going away, remind me to ask you a question regarding I just said ESPN Classic coming up in our next segment. But I also like too, and they usually do this for the national championship game. Have the local schools local broadcast. I hope they
I
keep that around.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do that though, I believe. So yeah, I think they are gonna do that, I think, for the semifinals as well. Now, I don't know if they're gonna do it for all the New York Six bowl games because
Hmm.
that's a lot, but
Yeah.
I know the SEC network's gonna do the Alabama Georgia feeds. I know
Hmm.
the apps are gonna have the Michigan and Cincy feeds as well. So yeah, I like the idea of it. Like I said before, I usually just tend to watch the traditional broadcast mostly and then maybe the coaches stuff, but
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, this is sort of a nice way to kind of give you a different perspective from each of the different, angles of it. So yeah, look, I mean, I'm glad they are doing it for all six. But yeah, I mean, I think this should be a nice little concept for them that they may keep it going through the future.
Yeah, and I hope that they can keep it going as well. Lakina, like I said, we'll get more into our breakdowns of the two New Year's Eve games on our shows next week. But do you have any early thoughts? Do you see any surprising trends, or do you sense anything different happening with those four teams in the playoff?
like I said, I'll get more in depth next week. I mean,
Mhm.
like I said, there's really nothing, nothing really to say right now. I mean, I know that Michigan, they're all going to plan on getting their boosters. Everyone's kind of have an honor system. Make sure no one goes anywhere, make sure no one's around anybody, and make sure they all keep it close together. I know they're all going to get their boosters, I believe, over the weekend. So to make sure everybody's safe, and I know other schools are doing this. I think Sissy's doing the same thing as well. So just to make sure everyone's is safe, and no one, the honor system too. So yeah, I mean, like I said, there's really nothing to say about it. Like I said before, I mean, the other bowl games are really going to be the interesting part. Before those games, there's some good games coming up in the next few days. So I mean, look, I'm just looking forward to this game, these games, and also to some of the other games that we got coming up too.
Last item on the plate before we hit our bottom of the hour break. The NHL. We talked about this a little bit the other day, Lakeena. They only had one game last night. It was between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Vegas Golden Knights. It was the only game that was scheduled last night. Now the NHL is on an extended Christmas break from now until the games through Sunday. And during the normal years, they had their Christmas break for 3 days. Now it's extended because various teams are dealing with outbreaks. We mentioned that the Canadian teams have reduced their attendance from 100% to 50% through all their home games. Of course, the Blackhawks were supposed to play last night. They're not going to play until, I believe, next Tuesday. So that's 6 days. 6 days from now. Do you think the NHL is doing the right thing? And plus, the NHL players are not going to be participating in the Olympics. Do you think the Olympics will get postponed another year, or do you think some of these current NHL players, which they faced a similar situation outside of COVID a few years ago in these last Olympics? The NHL, there's some NHL players, of course, especially here in North America. We all know that the Stanley Cup is important, but playing for your home country is just as important, even more important.
Yeah, and also too, I know Connor McDavid has, I remember earlier in this before this, the next season started. I remember last season that he was really looking forward to playing in the Olympics. So,
Mm-hmm.
Guys like him, they're hoping to play in the Olympics for the first time. Now they're not going to may not be able to do that because, they've had to pause and, everything else. So again, like I said before, I mean, these are kind of going rampant here. It's not just here in the States, but in Canada, like we've been saying,
Mm-hmm.
also too in Europe, also all over the country. So this could be a thing where they may have to postpone the Olympics again, for another year. But like we've been saying, because too much money is at stake, and
Mm-hmm.
NBC was hoping that they could do like a back to back, with the Super Bowl and the Olympics, because that's why they switched with CBS, because CBS actually was supposed to be doing it this year.
Yeah.
So and now that this is happening, and you already got other reasons, some countries are doing a diplomatic boycott, including here in the US and Canada as well. I mean, these are kind of going haywire here. I don't know why the Winter Olympics are in Beijing, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, this might be a case where they may have to postpone another year and push it back. But
Yeah, that's a lot of money lost potential for NBC if that ends up happening. But I was watching NHL Live yesterday on the NHL Network. It was host Jackie Redmond, EJ Raddick, who's the analyst, and former NHLer Dave Reed from the Colorado Avalanche, Stanley
yes.
Cup winning teams for back in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And they brought up a great point. They brought up Patrick Kane's comments from the Chicago Blackhawks via Mark Lazarus. He's the Blackhawks writer from the Athletic, Chicago. And Patrick Kane said it would have been just paraphrasing it would have been an honor to play for Team USA. And he's at the age of 33, but it would have been an honor to play, but it would stink if he didn't get a chance to play. But you think about those first timers that were looking forward to playing the Olympics, Lakeena, especially not just here in the United States, if you're a North American player, but if you're part of Team Canada or a Russian player or a player overseas,
Sweden, Norway, among others. Yeah,
exactly. And if you get the call from the NHL or you get the call from your national team, you worked hard all your life to do both. Which situation would you attend to best? Go take the call from the NHL or go take the call from your national team?
Probably, yeah, probably the national team. I think
It's really tough. It's really tough. It's
it's
not as
tough.
easy as you think, folks.
Yeah, I know people would say some. I think it would be half and half if we put it out there. Like
Mhm.
some would say, probably I was playing for a championship, but then you got others that would say, hey, look, I would rather play for my country. So it is definitely one of those things where it will be a tough decision. So look, there's a lot to have to sort out here, and look, we don't know how. We'll know how serious this Omicron variant is. You know, there might be another variant coming up that might be coming through in a few months. So there's still a lot that we don't know about this virus. So I think people need to kind of just just stay aware and just practice common sense. Now, as far as the Olympics are concerned, just to finish up, I know we're up against it, but
Mhm.
you wonder that I don't know if that I think like the NBA, I think that's probably a last resort for them to have to do, perhaps maybe have to postpone again. But you know what? I mean, yeah, you may not have a choice at this point if things continue to, it's not just here in the States. Apparently, it's running rampant like I said, all over the world in a lot
Mhm.
of countries. So this is another thing where, that's them. So it'll be very interesting too. And speaking of, I mean, apparently now Luca is now in COVID protocol. So, that's another thing. So yeah, so we might be seeing a lot of, schedule changes and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll see if that Christmas Day game against the Utah Jazz gets played on Christmas or gets moved to a later date. So we'll see what happens as the situation with the variant continues to wreak havoc across our sports landscape and across the world. When we return, it'll be our last segment of the week, last segment before Christmas. As you're listening to Second City Sports along with Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown right here on Sports Zone Chicago. We'll give you our Week 16 NFL picks. And I have a question for you guys, and I really need your guys' help as I prepare to celebrate the holidays in my own various way. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. The NHL season is being paused through December the 26th. Amid a surge in positive COVID-19 cases across the league, COVID-19 absences led to a stream of postponements in recent days. 11 teams suspended operations entering Monday, and all cross-border matchups across the United States and Canada have been postponed. There have been 44 games postponed this season, and more than 15% of the league is in the COVID-19 protocol. The season's scheduled to resume on Monday the 27th, while the Blackhawks are scheduled to resume their season on the 28th at home against the Blue Jackets. NBA tonight, the Bulls are home against Toronto. Chicago's won 2 in a row. They're 19-10, a game and a half out of first place in the West, chasing the Nets. Chicago coming in after a 133-118 win over the Rockets on Monday. The Raptors in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference at 14-15. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Fever is a potential sign of COVID or the flu, and the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Be accurate with Exergen. Exergen temporal scanners, available at Walmart and other fine retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com. That's EXERGEN.com. Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome back to this pre-Christmas celebration, a special Wednesday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you. Last segment of the week, last segment of the show today. Thank you so much for listening and watching us. Lakeena, we have our NFL Week 16 picks to get through. I know we usually don't do Thursday Night Football, but that's the first game up on the schedule with the San Francisco 49ers and the Tennessee Titans tomorrow night. But first, before we get to the games, can you please give us our results from last week and our season stats overall?
Yeah, but we both didn't do well. I know Christina. I was messaging Christina. Like I got her picks right here.
Okay.
She's yeah. We didn't do too well, so I don't have the numbers yet because I usually re-listen to it about today. So I will get I'll have to count out. But yeah, you'll probably still be ahead of both of us when it's all said and done. But yeah, I mean, we didn't have a good week last week. I mean, Cincinnati helped me, which was fine. But Arizona, thanks a lot. I had if we were doing confidence picks, I would have gotten just
Yeah, I think that'll be most people. Yep.
yeah, thanks a lot, Arizona. I picked the worst
Tampa Bay
time.
too. My
Yeah,
goodness.
Jesus Christ. But yeah. but anyway, since we'll be doing a little bit of the Thursday night slate here. All right. So this is the excuse me, I got that my screensaver here went blank for a second, but yeah, so we didn't do too well. Like I said, when it's all said and done, I'm sure Sid will probably be ahead of, again, still probably extended his lead. All right. Just for the record, Christine has San Fran, so that's that's well, but also you got San Fran and the Titans. So Sid, go ahead.
Tennessee is favored by 1 point. Of course, Tennessee had a bad loss. San Francisco has been hot these last few weeks. Just because they are the home team, I'm going with Tennessee.
All right. Actually, yeah. I mean, I know AJ Brown is supposed to be back. I know that a really short week for San Fran going cross country. Or I thought she actually didn't have a pick, so I won't count this one. But
Okay.
because we usually don't do Thursday night games. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, look, I know San Fran. Short week. They got to go cross country. A lot of things going on. These two teams are very similar. I feel like so. You know what? I'm gonna pick San Fran, just because I kind of feel like both these teams need this game. San Fran probably needs it more because of the fact that they're trying to stay within striking distance of the wild card spot in the NFC. So I'm picking San Fran. So should be a good one though tomorrow. Remember that's exclusive on the NFL Network, folks. Remember that.
Yes.
All right. Hopefully you won't see Kurt Warner's jacket. That's a whole nother
His big puffy silver jacket.
tinfoil. Like my mom said, wait.
You sure he didn't get that from 79th and Cottage?
Oh, good Lord. Oh, now you're going on the Wayback Machine with that. Oh, my gosh.
You're like the poor man, Sweet Daddy Williams. All he missed was a hat.
Exactly. I remember that store. Jesus Christ. I love it. I wish we had some Christmas music going on in the background, Sid, because these are your Christmas Day games. Okay. The early game of this that'll be at 3:30 our time, Chicago time, Central time. Both on Fox, NFL, and Amazon. You got the Browns and the Packers. We'll see. Like Kevin Stefanski will be back. He's back running practice, but the other players not so much. So I'm gonna pick Green Bay because I think the Green Bay's on a roll. We'll see how everything else goes. I just don't. Myles Garrett may not be back by then. I know he got banged up, so I'm gonna pick the Packers as they continue their road to the number 1 seed in the NFC.
I'm with you. I'm going with Green Bay as well. Baker Mayfield, hopefully he'll return if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, because what you saw on Monday, it was ugly.
Yes.
But I don't think it's going to matter. Green Bay, like you said, sensing the kill as far as clinching home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. So I'm going with Green Bay there, favored by 7.
And Christine is with us. She also picked Green Bay. The second game of the Christmas doubleheader. This will exclusively be on NFL Network. You get Arizona hoping to bounce back from the loss against the Lions, hosting the Colts.
As my cheat sheet goes blank, now there it goes. is flashing up in front of my eyes very fast. Arizona's favored by 5 points. Indianapolis, as you mentioned, they beat New England last week thanks to Jonathan Taylor's stellar performance from the running back position. Arizona, they got embarrassed by the Lions last week. I think because they're at home and they still have an outside shot at the number 1 seed. Indianapolis, they're in a better position to move up as far as the playoff standings. It's going to be a close game, but I'm edging out Arizona. I still have a little bit of faith in you. I love your quarterback, but they've been letting me down these last couple weeks, so I'm going with Arizona at least one more time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm coming back and forth on this one. I mean,
Hmm.
they're gonna have to try to stop Jonathan Taylor. I'm sure they're gonna make sure that they do that. If they stop Jonathan Taylor and make Carson Wentz throw the ball, I think they may have a shot. I think they're gonna want to be able to bounce back after just being embarrassed by the Lions of all teams. So I think I'm not only doing this because they're at home, but I'm picking Arizona. And if I look stupid, you better not maybe look stupid, Cardinals, because people are already questioning you guys, so I think they're going to use that as motivation. So I'm going to pick Arizona, and Christine is picking Arizona as well. I think she doesn't like Wentz, but that's
You
probably why.
think?
Yeah, it might be more why, but yeah, she's picking Arizona too. All right, the after Christmas Day games. Okay, the first game out, you got the Giants and the Eagles. Eagles, I know that they just played on Tuesday yesterday, and I know some folks are going to say, well, they should be a little bit, they might be a little bit banged up, but I think they'll be ready for this. I think they know that they have to win out in order to have a chance at getting into the wild card spot. The Giants are just putrid. I think Sterling Shepard is out for the year, and I think they've had other injuries
So
as
it's starting
well.
quarterback Daniel Jones with the neck.
Yeah, the rest of him, they're basically shutting him down for the year. So I'm gonna pick the Eagles. No Mike Glennon revenge game here. So I'm picking the Eagles.
I'm going with Philadelphia as well. Philadelphia is favored by 9. The question is, will the Giants cover? Will they cover? I'll let you guys decide that one. But we pick straight up winners on this show. I'm going Philadelphia.
Okay, and so does Christine. She also has Philly, yeah, because the way her cheat sheet is, they don't have it in order like I have it on here. But yeah, she's picking Philly. Should be a good one here. Unfortunately, the single header, so Chicago, we will not be getting this game. I'm probably gonna watch this on my laptop, the Rams and the Vikings. Gosh, I know the Rams they got to travel cross country off a short week. Vikings also having a short week too. They're gonna be hosting this game. I know the Rams have an outside shot at a 1 seed. I know the Vikings, they basically have to win out in order to,
Hmm.
have a chance at the playoffs. I've been back and forth here, but I'm gonna go with my common sense head and pick the Rams.
I'm going with the Rams as well. They're favored by 3.5. The time change will not bother the Rams. And Aaron Donald, did you see him on Tuesday night? He got to Russell Wilson again for the 15th
Yes, he
time
did.
in his career in terms of sacking him. He's going to do the same thing to Kirk Cousins. Minnesota got away with one on Monday night in Chicago. That performance was putrid. Thanks, head coach Mike Zimmer. Thanks, Kirk Cousins. Thanks to the rest of that garbage Minnesota performance. It got me 4th place in my fantasy league, but that's a whole nother issue. That's a whole nother issue. But I'm going with the Rams too. They're a better team. Both teams, like you mentioned, coming off of short work weeks. And pay attention to the first quarter of this game. Whoever has the most energy after the first quarter, they'll win the game. But I'm picking the Rams.
All right, and Christine also has the Rams.
And I
So
will
yeah.
be watching that game in its entirety via this computer screen.
Oh yeah, that's what me too. I'm not sure if this game's gonna be available here in Chicago because CBS does have the doubleheader this week. It should be. You got the Bills and the Patriots. You do this one.
New England's favored by 2.5. We all know what happened the last time on Monday night a couple of weeks ago. Buffalo got that manhood taken away from them. Of course, Buffalo lost to Tampa the week later, and then they bounced back last week in an all-important win over Carolina. This is going to be an ugly game, a nasty game, but Buffalo needs to play with discipline. Remember what happened the last time. I'm going with the surprise here. I'm going with Buffalo.
That would be a really big surprise, wouldn't it? I mean, I kind of feel as though I think Buffalo has had this game circled. I know Sean McDermott has had this game circled. I think he feels like he was made a fool out of. I feel like
So is the whole defense.
Yeah, Micah Hyde. I mean, the rest of that defense, I'm sure they're going to want to redeem themselves. So, and we saw a little bit of Mac Jones looking like a rookie. So I feel like maybe I'm going to go for it too. I think I'm calling for the upset. I think this is going to be one of those games where, I think the team will get their revenge. So I'm picking the Bills as well. And let me see what Christy has. She's got New England. So we'll see. Should
Solo
be
Dolo. And good news, Lakeena, I just checked my TV guy via Xfinity. That game will be airing live here in Chicago on Channel 2.
Woohoo! Yay!
So you don't have to go through other avenues to watch it.
I love it. All right. So All right, next game up, you got the NFC South. You got the Bucks. They're shorthanded against the Panthers. Apparently, it is going to be Cam Newton, even though Sam Darnold is supposed to be back from injury by then. Yeah. You know what? I know that. I think what Godwin's out. I know Fournette's out. So, but Antonio Brown is going to be back. So I guess is the next man up for Tampa. I don't think they shouldn't have any problems, even though they do have a lot of injury issues. I'm picking Tampa. I'm picking Tampa. I don't trust Carolina at this point, so I'm picking Tampa.
Yeah, it's a whole big mess with Carolina. I actually like their head coach Matt Rule, but he's got a
Yeah.
whole lot of issues on his hands. Tampa Bay, hopefully Ronald Jones Jr. can have a great game as far as running the ball. Leonard Fournette is injured as well. Tom Brady, he's going to be focused. They got embarrassed on national television last Sunday night. I'm taking the Colin Cowherd rule. The team that gets embarrassed on national television the week before, they come back and bounce back the next week. Tampa Bay's favored by 11. If you want to take the points, go ahead. But we pick straight up winners on this show. I'm going with Tampa. It's easy for me.
All right. Christy also has Tampa. All right. I wouldn't say this is a toilet bowl, but I don't know if this is, there'll be a good. I feel bad whoever has to call this game. You got the Jaguars and the Jets.
And guess what, Lakeena? Your New York Jets are favored by 4.5. It's basically got to pick them. I know Jacksonville actually played better at times last week, even though they lost to Houston. The Jets, they are terrible. I really want to go with Jacksonville, but I don't know why I'm doing this. Just because they're the favorite, I'm going with the Jets.
Oh, Jesus.
I know, right? If you're a better, stay away from this one.
Yeah, I'll say stay as far away from this game if you're a betting person. I wouldn't even go bet on this one. I guess I'll pick the Jets too. I don't know. No, I don't know why, but I guess I'll pick the Jets. And also, Christy feels the same way. She's also picking the Jets. So I don't know. Okay, the 2-11-1 Lions against the Falcons. This might be another ugly one here. I don't know what the line is, but I say for me, you know what? It's because they're at home. I'm gonna pick Atlanta. I mean, this might be one of the last time we see Matt Ryan in a Falcons uniform play in the Georgia Dome. So I'm gonna pick Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm going with Atlanta too. Both teams are playing out the string. Atlanta is favored by 6.5.
Okay, all right. So we can do.
You may have to stay away from this one as well, unless your rents do, which is your fault, not ours.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. So news across the wires. COVID. Nick Sirianni, who is the head coach of the Eagles, tested positive for COVID, so now he's under protocol. So
he won't be coaching this Sunday's game
probably
unless he gets a
not.
false positive.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens with that. All right, you got the Chargers and the Texans. Wait, did I say who Christy? Yeah, she's picking the Jets. So she picked the Jets as well. She's picking the Falcons as well. I should say, yeah, she's picking Atlanta. All right, you got the Chargers and the Texans. I know the Texans actually looked good last week.
Yeah,
but that's not really. But again, this is against Jacksonville, so that's not really saying much. But you know what? I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet. I'm picking the Chargers. The travel shouldn't be an issue. I know they got some guys that are coming back from protocols. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Chargers. They really need this. They need this one to kind of keep pace in the AFC for a playoff spot, a wild card spot.
Yeah, they let one get away against the Kansas City Chiefs last Thursday night in front of a national audience. As I said before, if you want to be a playoff team, you beat the teams that you're supposed to be. This is one of them, the Houston Texans. The Chargers are favored by 10.5. Take the points, take the Chargers. Enough said.
And also, Christine feels the same way. She's also picking the Chargers. All right, next up in the AFC North could be for the title. You got the Ravens and the Bengals. Jesus, I don't know what to say.
This is a toss-up game. It really is.
It really is a pick 'em, and I don't know. I mean, Cincy, you don't know which Cincy team you're gonna get. Baltimore, I know they've had a lot of injury issues as well. It looks like Tyler Huntley might be starting again. He actually looked pretty good the couple of games he's been he started. So gosh, I mean, like I said, Cincy, you don't know. I know the Ravens want to avenge that loss, but Hammer, they gave up 41 points. I might hate myself for this, but whatever. I just turned 40, so I might be doing a lot of things I might regret. So
I had a few.
maybe. But yeah, I'm picking I might be high right now or drunk, so I'm picking Baltimore. I don't know why, but I'm picking Baltimore. I'm just not at that point where I can trust Cincy yet. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Hey, I understand your reasoning, so I'm not gonna laugh at you as far as that is concerned. Cincinnati's favored by 2.5. That means a whole lot of money's coming in for Baltimore. Usually, the home team gets 3,
Right.
so they beg you to take Baltimore.
Mhm.
I'm going with you as far as the reasoning, but I'm going the other way. I'm going with Cincinnati.
Yeah, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me. And Christine agrees
It's
with
really
me.
a toss-up contest, to be
It
honest with
really
you.
is.
Looking deep into the numbers.
Yeah, it really is a toss up. So yeah, this might be a tough one for all you gamblers out there to play. So
Yeah.
good luck to you. Yeah. So the first of the 3 o'clock
Who did
games,
Christine pick?
she agreed with you. She picked Cincy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
didn't hear it.
yeah, sorry about that. Oh yeah, I must have didn't say it, but Cincy, she picked Cincy. First of the 3:25s, you got the Steelers and the Chiefs. Another toss up. Sid, you start this one.
Kansas City's favored by 9.5, and as of this broadcast, both wide receivers Tyreek Hill and tight end Travis Kelce are in health and safety protocols for the Chiefs. I assume that one or both of them will be off the list by the time this game is taking place on Sunday.
Mhm.
Pittsburgh, they got a big fourth down defensive stand against the Titans last week. I told you Pittsburgh was going to win that game, and they ended up doing it. But their offense still looks crappy. And the Kansas City Chiefs, their offense don't look that great, but looks a hell of a lot better than Pittsburgh's. I tell you that much. But because of the home field, because of the momentum, I'm going with Kansas City. I don't know if I'll take the points, but I'll go with Kansas City for the win.
Yeah, Christine's got Kansas City just to get that out the way. I'm kind of back and forth. I mean, their defense, Kansas City's defense, kind of held it together for them, especially since now
Mhm.
that they may be without a lot of their top offensive guys. So against my better judgment, I might pick KC. I might regret that pick later, but I'm picking KC just because they're at home. And yeah, no, watch Big Ben throw for like two or three touchdowns, have his best game this season.
If that happens, you heard it here first.
Yeah, the crazy is happening in the end of the season.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so
All
true.
right, in the AFC, another seed in the AFC West, you've got the Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. You start this one, Sid.
I'm surprised this is at a pickup. Las Vegas coming off a surprising road win at Cleveland on Monday. They're going off a short week.
Mhm.
Teddy Bridgewater, I assume, is not going to start. I think it'll be Drew Lock's position starting job. Denver, they have a very good defense, but their offense is just hasn't been consistent. I'm going with the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going with the Raiders too. I think they're going to take advantage of that win against Cleveland. I know it's a short week, but they're playing at home. So, and Denver, you just don't know which Denver team you're going to get. So, I'm picking the Las Vegas Raiders, and so does Chrissy. I think Chrissy was confused. I think she was going to pick Denver, but then she crossed it out. So, I think she circled Las Vegas. So,
She made the right pick.
yeah, I think she's still picking Vegas. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's what she's doing. All right, the Sunday nighter in the NFC East could be for like control of that. You got Washington and Dallas.
Dallas is favored by 9.5 points. Washington, tough loss last night on the road. They had to go back on the road again. I think this is going to be kind of close if they get Taylor Heineke back. But regardless of that, Dallas office should have a better performance. They're at home. They usually do well at home in prime time. I'm going with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm picking the Cowboys as well, though I think Washington will keep it close for a little bit. But I feel like, yeah, I think Dallas knows that if they win this, they can wrap up the division, so and not mess around. So I think that they're going to end up wrapping it up here, and so I'm picking Dallas. And so is Christine. She also has Dallas. All right, Monday Night Football. You got the Dolphins and the Saints. Two teams at 7-7. Still have an outside shot of perhaps getting into the playoffs. I know the defense looked good for the Saints. I know Miami. They've been on a roll. I think they've won like 5 in a row, I believe. So you know. To me, this is another pick 'em, I feel like. I think this is definitely another toss-up
It
game.
is.
So I'm picking I know I should pick the Saints at home, but I'm picking Miami because I think Miami needs this more than the Saints do, because the Saints need of course, they still need to win out, but they need other things to happen for them to get into the playoffs. So Dolphins basically went out and they're probably in. So I'm picking Miami.
You stole my pick, so I'm joining you. I'm going with Miami as well, even though the Saints are 3.5-point favorites. So don't be surprised if it comes down to a field goal either, because we mentioned Miami's defense is very good as well. So
Yes.
New Orleans needs to run that ball. They don't have a quarterback. I know Taysom Hill, he can't really throw the ball. He can run his butt off, but he cannot throw with any consistency. Tua Tagovailoa, just do not turn the ball over. If you could do that, the Miami has a great chance to win. I'm going with the Dolphins.
Well, Christine is stepping out. She is picking New Orleans, which wouldn't surprise me, but it should be interesting. Okay, last but certainly least, you got the Bears and Seahawks.
I feel sorry for the crew, whoever gets this game for
right?
Fox.
Oh my God! What
Now, if it's all for the crew, cool.
Might be more tolerable.
We love them. We love them. Gus Johnson to keep Talib and Mega Libby. But if it's somebody else, so be it. But
I've been trying to find who's gonna find the list of who's gonna end up, who are gonna have the unenviable and sad task of calling this game. But I haven't found it. It might not come out till after we get off. So, but whoever gets that game, I mean, I feel sorry for them. Both teams are struggling. Both teams coming off short weeks.
Shocking.
Yeah, right. It's basically over for Seattle too. So they're both in the same boat. Now your team's going to go to the playoffs. A very small group of folks are probably going to be watching this game. You're welcome, America.
It's not a doubleheader day for Fox, so
it's fine.
Everybody's not going to be watching. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank God. But yeah, look, I'm picking Seattle. I mean, look, I know they've got some injuries issues too. Jamal Adams, I know he's done for the year. I know that Russell Wilson, I know the O line, so you may get a couple of sacks from Robert Quinn and Akeem Hicks, but they have a good running back and also DK Metcalf. So I know he didn't have a good game last night against the Rams, but I think they'll do just enough to win this, and it might be one of those ugly games. So 9-6.
It will be.
It will be. So I'm picking Seattle.
Either way you look at it, it's gonna be ugly.
It's gonna be ugly. Any way you look at it. So but I'm picking the Seahawks.
I'm picking Seattle as well. They're favored by 7 as of right now. It's a surprise pick. Take the Bears and the boys because it will get ugly.
Yes, it will. Yeah.
So I'm going with Seattle.
And also, Christine also has Seattle. So, yeah. So, sorry about that, folks. We had to end on such a sour note. But those are your week 16 picks for the National Football League. You listen to Second City Sports as we wrap things up on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Cindy Brown. I'm Lakeena McGee. All this stuff with the COVID is getting very fluid. Apparently, Alabama, both their offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien and their O-line coach Doug Marrone, some familiar names for the NFL fans, both tested positive. So they may be available for the bowl game, since we're about a week out, but not good. They're going to be doing virtual practices, through the and stuff. So yeah, it's just getting kind of right. We told you about Texas A&M. They're not going to be able to play since they don't have enough players. So now, Wake Forest is going to be looking for another team for the Gator Bowl, which probably might be hard to do on such short notice. But we'll keep you guys abreast on that. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yes, it is crazy. So we'll see. We'll monitor what happens in those situations from the world of college football. Lakeena, as we celebrate the holiday season, first, happy birthday, belated birthday, by the way. I know you just turned the big golden age. We won't say that on this show, but happy belated birthday. And so I hope you enjoy it. I know you're going to have an extended celebration since we are in the holiday season. I want to end this show on a good note. First of all, happy holidays to everybody that's listening and watching us right now. Thank you so much for your support. We'll give you guys a special tribute, hopefully, in our coming up next week as we end the 2021 calendar year. But Lakeena, as I don't celebrate Christmas the quote unquote the traditional way. They started even before my mom passed, so I don't do the whole tree thing or giving anymore. So it's just a big waste of time for me. I was telling a couple of friends of mine a long time ago, really the holidays are for the kids, getting gifts and all that stuff. Me as an adult, if I get a gift, I'm truly I'm thankful and shocked. Because as a kid, you expect people to give you gifts and spoil you and all that. As an adult, you don't get those things.
No,
you really don't.
Yeah,
and I accepted that a long time ago, and so I'm good with it. It's all about rest, relaxation for me, and a whole lot of reflecting and doing what the hell I want to do. And speaking of that, and I said ESPN Classic earlier. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Lakeena, that channel will go away by this time next week, along with NBCSN. But with ESPN Classic, with all the old games now being placed on YouTube, I know a lot of us were doing that, especially when we were in shelter in place last year. Yours truly was doing that too. But the last couple years on Christmas, remember, Lakeena, during the Lakers Celtics 30 for 30 about 3 or 4 years ago?
Yes,
That
yes, I
aired,
remember.
and one of the legendary NBA writers said that the '84 finals between the Lakers and Celtics, in his opinion, was the best NBA finals of
Yes.
all time. In my opinion, outside of that, I believe that the 1988 NBA Finals was the best, in my opinion, outside of '84 of all time. That was the first matchup between the Detroit Pistons and the Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, the Lakers, that would be their last title in that decade. They beat the Pistons in 7 games. We all remember what happened with Bill and Barry Game 6.
Yes.
We don't have to go through that. So
No, we won't. We won't go.
I know
Let's not
you
go
folks
there.
in Detroit are still pissed, and I understand it. But as a Bulls fan, I'm laughing. But anyway, the last couple years, Lakeena, I watched in its entirety all 7 games through Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Of course, growing up, if I got a new toy, video game, or whatever, I would play it on Christmas Day and things of that nature. But for the last couple years, I've watched the Detroit Lakers series from '88,
Yes.
Christmas Eve through Christmas Day. And so to prepare myself to watch the games that I want to watch on Christmas Day in the present time. But this year I need your help, and I need your help out there out there listening, watching out there. You could tweet me your answers at SidKid80 on the Twitter. But I want to get your opinion, Lakeena. It's come down to these matchups for me which NBA Finals series should I watch?
Okay.
It's come down to believe these 4 choices: the '84 series, Lakers Celtics, the '85, which the Celtics won in 7. I do have games 4 and 7 on DVR.
Okay.
The 1985 series, Lakers Celtics, the rematch. The Lakers got the best of them, winning Game 6 in the Boston Garden. I do have Game 6 on DVR.
Okay.
1986 Rockets Celtics. Of course, that was Hakeem the Dream's first NBA Finals, which they lost to Boston in 6 games. People consider that '86 team, Celtics team, the greatest of all time. 96 Bulls for me. Might drop. Or the 2004 NBA Finals. Ben Wallace, now Hall of Famer Ben Wallace, and maybe soon to be Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups. They beat the Los Angeles Lakers in a gentleman fashion 5-game sweep into the Shaq and Kobe era. Which one of those series should I watch?
Well, I think you can't go wrong with either the '84 or '85. I think those were like probably a couple of the best NBA Finals probably ever. And what made the '84 one so special was because they did it in 7. And what made the '85 so special was because the Lakers won Game 6 in the Garden.
Yeah. And
also, too, it was actually the first time that they beat the Celtics, in a final series. Because prior to that, they were like 0-4 or something like that in the NBA Finals, something like that, 3 or 4, 0-3, 0-4. So I think you can't go on with either one of those. I mean, the 0-4, I think the Pistons kind of dominated that one, so it was really yeah. So it really, you're not gonna be entertained by that. Now the '86 was actually pretty good. I think nobody thought that the Rockets would actually keep up with the Celtics. They did. They actually they won a couple of games, but the Celtics were just too much for them. And you imagine though what would have been like had the Lakers not lost to the Rockets in that first round. And
actually, it was the conference finals.
Conference final, yeah, I should say, yeah. So they had now lost in the conference final. Who knows? But but yeah, I mean, the Rockets did what they could, but they just didn't have enough firepower, enough shooters to win that game. So I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with either the '84 to '85 finals.
Okay. I'll probably end up watching both anyway. But since Christmas is on Saturday this year. And we block out on Sundays for football because we do it because we like watching football, and we do it for you guys so we can get our thoughts. So I may lean toward 85. So we'll see what happens with that. So that's our show for this week. And we'll be back with you guys on Monday from noon to 2 p.m. You can listen to Second City Sports every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Next week will be on Monday and Wednesday again because of the holiday, New Year's holiday. Once again, next week, this coming Monday and this coming Wednesday for New Year's right here on Sports Zone Chicago live and in living color from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Lakeena closes out.
All right. I wish you had some Christmas music going on in the background, folks. Right. So nonetheless,
Alexander O'Neal's Sleigh Ride or James Brown's well, we got a whole Christmas list, but that's all other issue.
Yeah, Christmas in the Halls by Run DMC. Come on now.
Yeah.
Hello.
We can make a whole list, but
Yeah. But excuse me, you follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan_McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. You can download the Sports Zone Chicago app. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can catch the podcast version of Second City Sports by subscribing to War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. Type this in your search engine boxes on those podcast platforms, WARR on Anchor. And you can follow War Media at WAR Media on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. All right, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, even still, Happy Holidays from all of us here at Second City Sports, also on Sports Zone Chicago. Stay safe out there. If you're not going to go anywhere, just enjoy some of the games, and also too, if you're any old movies from back in the day. So for Sid, I'm the King. You guys stay safe out there. I know it's hard out there, but look, we're going to get through this. Be good to each other. And this has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you next week.
Happy holidays till Monday. Holla!